His Excellency the Governor, Dr. Anders Eugene Holliday, delivered his New Year's address on Friday, January 6th, at his annual Governor's New Year's reception held on the Captain Hodge Wharf. The Governor delivered a speech under the theme, Our Mission for Our Nation. Here now is the Governor's address in its entirety.
I am pleased to gather here with you in the heart of our capital city to celebrate the start of 2017. To all present and to the people of St. Martin, Marie-Louise and I extend warm, heartfelt greetings and best wishes for the year ahead and beyond. These are wishes for health, happiness, and prosperity for you individually and for our nation. It is a quality of life wish for a brighter future. In extending these wishes, we are cognizant of the challenging external environment characterized by a shifting geopolitical climate, sluggish economic growth, and destabilizing terrorist threats. As a member of the highly interdependent global community with low growth, crime concerns, and financial constraints of our own, we must, if we are to create and seize opportunities, address internal issues, and position ourselves to respond effectively to global challenges. And we can only do so successfully if we have and share a clear mission. It is on that note that I shall share my thoughts with you this evening on the topic, Our Mission for Our Nation. Our mission for our nation. In that regard, I believe that the motto on our coat of arms, Semper Progrediens, which means always progressing, appropriately captures the essence of our mission for our nation. It tells us that our mission is a continuous responsibility and, even stronger, a continuous obligation to nurture and build an ever-improving society in pursuit of excellence in the quality of life for all. This is, as expected in a democratic society, a multi-dimensional mission, one I trust that you will embrace. It does not mean that we must throw away the old and start over, rethinking and reinventing everything, but rather that we must build on, upgrade, and where necessary add to that which we have. For after all is said and done, it is my view that St. Martin today, though not perfect, is one of the best places in the world to live. It is therefore my intention, and it should be yours as well, to work to keep it that way. Inherent in the coat of arms motto, and thus our mission, is the continuous aspiration to keep pace, to progress, to upgrade, to take our nation to the next level. It is against that backdrop and considering the challenges and opportunities of our 21st century environment that I called on the new government during its installation ceremony to take steps to upgrade our nation's governance operating systems to GOS 21.0. With 2016 behind us and looking ahead, the question before us now is, how do we plan to realize our nation's mission? I am certain that the answer will vary from person to person and from organization to organization. There will be differences in views and approaches between and within government, the business community, and civil society. Noteworthy in this regard is that our new government has announced its plan of action through its governing program, Stability for Prosperity. Whatever your answer or plan is, I hereby remind you that we, given the multidimensional, interdependent nature of our quality of life, are in this together. This as the guardians of our nation's mission. We must, as a result, recognize, live, and act by the guiding principle that our nation, St. Martin, is bigger than you and I. This principle must therefore be the primary point of departure in all our actions and decisions. Let us therefore resolve to not break down, but to lift each other and thus our nation up. And in doing so, let us reach out to each other, to work with each other, and tap the full potential of our nation's resources. Having said that, I hope that you will agree with me that our mission for an ever-improving quality of life for all will only be achieved when pursued by us through committed collective action. Action which no one will take for us. Action which only we can take. Ladies and gentlemen, to accomplish our mission in 2017 and beyond, I call on you to carry on the work of past and current generations. I call on you to dedicate yourself to bring about a new quality shift to fully move the overall public, corporate, and social governance of St. Martin on a 21st century platform, GOS 21.0. This can be achieved by making values-centered strategic choices, sustainable designs, and smart investments. As I make this call and you contemplate your responses, allow me to give you some food for thought. 1, imagine a revitalized Phillipsburg next to our vibrant Simpson Bay area, making a statement that tells residents and visitors how we wish to be seen. Our capital city, displaying our governance, commercial, and cultural aspirations, and anchored in its heart by a transparent, accessible, structured, and representative north-south People's Avenue, a People's Avenue connecting the Government House to the Courthouse via the Parliament House in its center. 2, picture realizing the full potential of our nation by actively developing our available human resources to match our needs, and by creating an environment to encourage the repatriation of our students and skilled professionals. 3, envision our law enforcement agencies equipped with a comprehensive camera surveillance network monitored 24/7 to help detect and combat crime and thus enhance our safety and security. 4, imagine Cahill as the axis of a regional healthcare center with a new modern hospital facility offering expanded healthcare services for residents as well as visitors from neighboring islands. 5, imagine the cleanup and removal of the dump from the salt pond replaced with sustainable waste management solutions and facilities located outside the Phillipsburg area. 6, envision a national parks and recreational program securing open spaces as national squares in Phillipsburg for national events, maintaining national trails, and allocating and protecting terrestrial terrain for a national park for residents and visitors to enjoy. 7, imagine having a well-maintained, decongested land transportation network to move people and goods efficiently across the island alongside our world-class air transportation and sea transportation facilities. 8, imagine transforming our information and communication technology infrastructure to an island-wide fiber network offering faster and more effective ICT services to keep our businesses competitive and to position us to compete better for the millennium generation of tourists. 9, picture a national renewable energy park helping power our households, businesses, and government at lower costs. And going for the perfect 10, imagine a public finance system that encourages effective spending and ensures that everyone pay their fair share to help fund our nation's mission. Thus, as you imagine these and other features of our GOS 21.0 upgrade, I call on and challenge each of you to take up and give deeper content to your role in our mission for our nation. This by implementing quality upgrades in the expansion of existing and execution of new programs. Ladies and gentlemen, in closing, as we begin this new year, let us thank God for watching over and ask for His continued guidance of our nation. At the same time, let us as individuals, media, trade unions, businesses, and government renew our commitment to an always progressing St. Martin in pursuit of excellence in the quality of life for all. That is our commitment to a prosperous St. Martin of economic opportunities, social justice, legal protection, and safety. A St. Martin that is environmentally sustainable, technologically prepared, externally engaged, and financially viable. This is a mission which we can only achieve together. We owe this to our community and ourselves. And as your governor, I shall continue to work with government and other stakeholders to promote the achievement of this mission for our nation in service of the people of St. Martin. With that commitment, I hereby, on behalf of Mary Louise and myself, wish you and your family a year of progress with health, happiness, and growth. Thank you, God bless you, and may God bless St. Martin and protect its coast.
His Excellency Governor Holliday. More stories still ahead as 30 Minutes with Government continues after these public service announcements.
I was deceived about the nature of my job. I was threatened with violence. I worked excessive days and hours, and money was withheld from me. My boss has no respect for the labor laws. All my documents were confiscated as I was confined and isolated. Now that you know, what will you do?
You can help by calling the National Reporting Bureau on Human Trafficking at 542-1553 or send an email to nattycotip@gmail.com. Human trafficking and exploitation. Please report it.
In news from the Ministry of General Affairs and Education, Culture, Youth and Sports, the 12th Annual National Day of Prayer was held on Sunday, January 8th in front of the new Government Administration Building under the theme, Lord, Give Us Vision That We May Prosper. The ecumenical service began at 5:30 p.m. with praise and worship led by the Harmonics team and band. The National Day of Prayer is observed annually on the second Sunday in January with an invitation to people of all faiths to pray for the nation. It is a way of bringing together the entire population in prayer to start a new year on the right footing. The order of service included a call to worship and invocation. Renditions were done by the church choir of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, as well as the Love and Grace Youth Choir. Intercessory prayers were delivered for the government, economic stability, protection against crime and violence, prayers to protect and strengthen families, and prayers to guide and protect our youth, all of which were offered by various persons from different churches, while Reverend J. Dean Meade delivered the sermon.
I'm not getting sentimental and praying for the good old days. I know things change. This was simply to illustrate the valuable role that you and I individually and collectively have to play in God's community. Let us not underestimate what we can do. In 2 Corinthians chapters 5 and 6, Paul, in reflecting, presents the ministry of reconciliation which has been entrusted to him. And he is actually asking the people to make moral judgments about him based on how they have seen him in action. Long before he mentions the word love at verse 14, which is with what I read, long before that, he writes about how he has always acted in the Corinthians' best interest. On the basis of such authority, he can tell them in verse 15 that believers should not live for themselves. They should not live for themselves. It's all over his letter to the Corinthians. For example, in verse 14, chapter 4 and verse 14, he says, yes, everything is for your sake, so that grace, as it extends to more and more people, may increase thanksgiving to the glory of God.
Reverend J. Dean Meade. Meanwhile, Prime Minister the Honorable William Marlin also offered remarks at this year's National Day of Prayer.
Where there is no vision, the people perish. But he that keepeth the law, happy is he. We often and too often focus on the first part of this problem and ignore the second half of it. Yet the link is obvious. Lack of vision leads to destruction of a nation, while abiding by God's law results in happiness. Vision, however, is not just a dream that comes to us at night or in solitude. It is divine revelation, and I would like to think that this is the reason why we are asking our Lord to grant us his vision. For the vision, not to remain a pipe dream, we must write it down and act upon it, as he clearly tells us to do in Habakkuk chapter 2, verses 2 and 3. Then the Lord answered me and said, record the vision and inscribe it on tablets, that the one who reads it may run. For the vision is yet for the appointed time. It hastens towards the goal, and it will not fail. Though it tarries, wait for it will certainly come. It will not delay. May our vision come in due season. In an article titled The Power of a Vision, pastor and author Chris Valaton distinguished between three types of vision: foresight, insight, and oversight. The first, he said, deals with the future, like looking at life through a telescope. The second, he continued, is like gazing at life through a microscope, allowing us to understand how things work. While the third is a view from the top, as in a helicopter, giving us a perspective of where we are with regards to others. The three together, telescopic, microscopic, and helicopter visions, combine to form the lens through which we interpret life and our relation to other people and to God. We cannot permit that lens to be scratched or broken in any form, because that would make all that we see become distorted. Remember what Helen Keller said, and she said the only thing worse than being blind is having sight and no vision. Indeed, many of us have sight, but no vision. Some of us even claim that we can see the future. However, this does not necessarily mean that we have a vision of the future. For only with a God-given vision and through keeping his commandments with discipline can we accomplish the mission of finding prosperity on earth. Prosperity means different things to different people, but a good book lays out what can be considered the definitive definition of prosperity. In Deuteronomy 28, verse 1, we are told, "And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth." Similarly, in Joshua 1, verse 8 says, "That this book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success."
Newly appointed Minister of Justice, the Honorable Raphael Boseman, is calling on the citizens of St. Martin to get back to adhering to the rule of law, which by extension helps in making illegal and irregular practices within our society a norm. Minister Boseman addressed these points at the weekly Council of Ministers press briefing, where he also called on citizens to refocus on how we can strengthen our communities, in particular the bettering of young men within our society.
A lot of times we also hear that, yes, a lot has to be done, but there's no money to do it. But I believe that a lot also can be done that don't require a lot of money to do. And one of the things that we have to work on, and my colleague, the Minister of Romi, in one of his first actions, with the garbage collection, where it was said, listen, look, we have responsibilities and we have to live up to those responsibilities. And if we don't live up to those responsibilities, there should be consequences. And I applaud the minister for that. Because we have to be careful that we don't become a community where we start the irregularities, the illegalities become norm. And it takes all of us. It's not just the police or the prosecutor. Then usually when the police and the prosecutor get in the mix, it's already too late. We have to develop back a sense of respect, responsibility towards ourselves and our fellow man for what we do in the community. Whether it is traffic, if there's a sign say that you should not park there, you should not park there. And if you park there, there will be consequences. And then you should not cry wolf when those consequences come down. And so we have to refocus. We have to refocus, and it is all of our responsibility to do so. Also, attention would be placed on prevention. It's good to build a lot of prisons, and we need better facilities, definitely. But I think it is also even more important to try to keep people out of those facilities, and especially our youngsters. So we have to focus on ways and means that we do not lose any more of our youngsters, and especially our young males, on the criminal path. That, again, the Ministry of Justice cannot do alone. So in cooperation with the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of ASR, I hope to approach our colleagues that we can come up with programs and projects, because one ministry can, if there's 100,000 guilders available, and each ministry fight for that 100,000, and each of us want 75,000 to come with a program, we will not have enough. But maybe if we work together, we can get one good program off the ground that can have good effect, and all of us can be happy because we would be working towards our improving our community.
That brings us to the end of this edition of 30 Minutes with Government. For video on demand of all Department of Communication programming, be sure to visit the official government website, stmartingov.org. I'm Cedric Peterson, on behalf of the government of St. Martin and all of us here at the Department of Communication. Thanks for tuning in.